If you're curious to know a brief sketch of Christless conservatism, in other words, political thought, Republican thought that is completely divorced and separated from the Bible, it kind of goes like this. Frank Meyer, Meyer, in the 1950s or so, he he tried to push away from Christian theology, away from that Mayflower, George Washington, Puritan sort of understanding of government, sort of a Presbyterian understanding of government, to push away from that. And so this guy's name was Frank Meyer, Meyer, and classical liberalism was his mindset, and he wanted to develop a form of constitutional Republican ideology that was completely separated from biblical thought. So he was secular leaning. That was in the 50s. And then Ronald Reagan came in, and this is in the 70s ish, and Ronald Reagan would actually quote the Bible sometimes in his speeches, so I can't really blame Ronald Reagan for Christless conservatism, but he did come from a liberal Christian denomination. He came from the Presbyterian Church USA, which is a liberal Christianity denomination, and he was also Democrat for a very long period of time, and then changed to Republican for the sole reason that he was anti-communist. So I'm kind of, in that sense, agreeable. I've been apolitical for a very long time, but still from a conservative background. But I just don't like idolatry that replaces Christ. It bothers me a lot. But so, I can relate to Ronald Reagan on this one point, is that when he saw the threat of communism threatening the country, he's like, okay, something needs to be said because people are being persuaded in a wrong direction. Milton Friedman was also in the 70s, sort of a Christless conservative political concept. There was a female philosopher named Ayn Rand. I don't know how I'm pronouncing this properly or not. Ayn Rand, Ayn Rand. She wrote a lot of highly intellectual books that were from this agnostic capitalist business. So if we're looking at any really sort of philosophical treatise, probably Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand is going to be the Christless conservative manifesto. I've even seen bumper stickers that say, "Who is John Galt?" So that's people trying to be post-Christian, trying to get rid of their Christianity and just make their identity all about being a successful businessman without any reference to Jesus Christ. It's probably Ayn Rand's fault. Atlas Shrugged, most likely. So the stew pot of thoughts here is free markets, individualism, limited government, secular economic philosophy. So there was a book I read parts of a while ago. It's called Productive Christians in an Age of Guilt Manipulators by David Chilton. And he calls this Christless conservatism, he used another expression for it. He called it libertarian lawlessness. Libertarian lawlessness. And he referred to a book called Looking Out for Number One. And he referred to another book called Winning Through Intimidation by Ronald Ringer. So that stuff's been around for a while, probably the 80s, where this Ayn Rand idea started setting in. I would say Ayn Rand's probably the number one. Atlas Shrugged book, most absolutely the number one. The John Galt character, whatever that's all about, which I don't know about it, but I just know of it, and I'm telling you that's got to be the absolute starting point. Let me just, out of curiosity's sake, Atlas Shrugged, Came out in 1957. So this stuff's been in the culture for quite a while. It's been in the culture for quite a while. I'm looking on Amazon. Wow. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand currently has 21,000 reviews and 4.5 stars. So the summary goes something like this. Who is John Galt? When he says that he will stop the motor of the world, is he a destroyer or a liberator? Why does he have to fight his battles not against his enemies, but against those who need him most? Why does he have to fight his hardest battle against the woman he loves? You will know the answer to these questions when you discover the reason behind the baffling events that play havoc with the lives of the amazing men and women in this book. You will discover why a productive genius becomes a worthless playboy, why a great steel industrialist is working for his own destruction, why a composer gives up his career on the night of his triumph, why a beautiful woman who runs a transcontinental railroad falls in love with the man she has sworn to kill. Atlas Shrugged, a modern classic in Rand's most extensive statement of objectivism, her groundbreaking philosophy, offers the reader the spectacle of human greatness, depicted with all the poetry and power of one of the 20th century's leading artists. So there you go. It's humanism. It's humanism. It's human potential movement sort of idea. It's not about Jesus Christ and his providence. It's complete breaking of the Mayflower tradition and its influence on economic thought. It's mainly business focused. So the Christlessness is we're going to operate business, we're going to have a career, and we're not going to mix our career with our Christian principles. This is all we're going to think about for 1,000 pages. And we're going to ignore the Bible and think about Atlas Shrugged all the time. So the John Galt character is apparently the character that came to symbolize Christless conservatism for businessmen. George F. Will is a name that keeps coming up. George F. Will. In the 80s, apparently he wrote a lot about a sort of Christless conservatism, about civic virtue and loving the Constitution and having a secular sort of morality that's not related to the Bible. He wrote newspaper columns, appeared on TV a lot. Andrew Breitbart. And this guy came in the 2000s. So this is basically the past 25 years. It was his thought. He was brash, he was provocative, and a secular capitalism. He popularized Christless conservatism via media. Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart. Now, his last name is spelled Breitbart. He died in 2012. And he is the co-founder of the Huffington Post. The Huffington Post. He was all about being conservative, a Republican and everything, but it's almost like Godfather type. He supported the legalization of prostitution, gay rights, and marijuana. Hey, he's a supporter of Israel. So that's how we got to where we are today. That Mayflower mentality was pushed out. You know, you look at the dollar bill, "In God we trust." That should have a question mark after it. Seriously. Because that's where we're at today. That's how we got here.